It's now official. Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa is the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Nigeria's main opposition. The party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, named Okowa as his running mate in the forthcoming 2023 general elections. This comes ahead of the Independent National Electoral Commission's deadline for the submission of names of presidential and vice presidential candidates by political parties. We'll have analysis on the PDP's chances in 2023. And also on the show, with just 2 days to the governorship elections in Ekiti State, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it is ready to conduct credible polls. The stage is now set for political parties and their candidates to slug it out on Saturday. There are 4 major candidates running for the state's top job. The candidates and their parties have traversed the nooks and crannies of the state to woo citizens in their favor. We'll have analysis of the forthcoming Ekiti elections set for Saturday. And finally, controversy over the APC House of Representatives primary elections in Enugu State. Some aggrieved participants are decrying foul play and are asking the party not to substitute or tamper with their mandates. We'll have analysis. I'm Somna Sambu, and this is the Arise interview. Welcome to the show. Now, Delta State Governor Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa has emerged as the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party. The party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, named Okowa as his running mate at the party's headquarters in Abuja. The announcement comes ahead of the Independent National Electoral Commission's Friday deadline for the submission of names of presidential and vice presidential candidates by political parties. Atiku described him as a vice president in waiting. He says he found in him a disciplined and committed politician who has a capacity to help deliver the ticket. Now, Okowa is a Christian from the Niger Delta region, specifically Delta State, and his candidacy will complement the presidential candidate of the former vice president, who is a Muslim from the northeast. Let's listen.
And we wish ourselves victory. My running mate has to be someone who is not afraid to speak his mind and give honest advice and be my side as I work very hard to reverse the destructive impact of the past 7 years of the APC government. My running mate has to be ready to start working with me from day one in addressing our country's challenges. I will not accept anything less. That is why I promise the governors of our party that my running mate will come from one among them. But as someone hoping to lead a complex country such as ours, tough and difficult decisions will remain a part of my everyday life. Let me therefore start this momentous journey with a crucial decision about who among the eminently qualified shortlist will be my running mate. Accordingly, let me state that the person I have chosen as my running mate possesses those identified qualities. He personifies not only the seriousness the current moment represents for our country, but also the future that our young people yearn for and also deserve. He is a serving governor who has demonstrated in his state and through his conduct that governance is about service to the people. I know that he will not only add excitement to our already energized ticket and campaign, but will also help to bring focus, discipline, and stability to our government come 2023. I am pleased, therefore, to announce here my choice of running mate who will help to lead us to victory next year, not only in the presidential election, but also in the governorship and legislative elections. And he will be by my side as I work hard every day to provide our people with security, revive our economy, improve education, and unite our country. He has both legislative and executive experiences. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Okowa.
I do know that it was a very tough decision, even as you have spoken this afternoon. But I thank God that amongst my very qualified colleagues, even those more qualified than myself, that I found favor, and I'm here today as the vice presidential candidate of the party. While thanking you, sir, I do understand there's a great work that is ahead of us. But I know that God has designed this to be, and that by the special grace of God, we will work hard to ensure victory for the party.
Ifeanyi Okowa there. Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined in the studio by Kassim Afegbua, who is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and then I have Dr. Sam Amadi, who's a Rise News analyst and an associate professor of law with me here, and then off-site we'll be having Professor Charles Nwekeaku, who is the secretary of the Igbo Elders Consultative Forum, joining us. Gentlemen, so good to have you on our show. I mean, the much-awaited announcement by Atiku Abubakar. Let's start from you, Kassim. What do you think Okowa is bringing to the table in this new alliance that Atiku is trying to build?
I thought you would have invited someone else to discuss that, because you know my position very clearly.
Yeah.
I'm not enamored by any stretch of imagination for another northern presidential candidate after Buhari. That has been my position. I remain consistent on that. And for Okowa becoming his running mate, gladdens my heart that he has chosen a weaker candidate. So it's opportunity for APC that is featuring a southern candidate, or perhaps Peter Obi, who is running under Labour, to have a stronger grip in the polity. Okowa, don't forget that it was in Asaba he hosted the Southern Declaration for power to come to the South. But along the line, he was part and parcel of those who worked for Atiku Abubakar to emerge. So for me, that's a betrayal of trust, whether you like it or not. And he's entitled to his own political choices, no doubt about that. But please don't be part of a collective if you know you have your political choices that are different from that of the collective. It's not a surprise that Okowa emerged. We've already known before. We saw the handwriting, we saw his involvement in Atiku's emergence and all of that. So good luck to them.
Okay. Dr. Sam Amadi, Ifeanyi Okowa, some see him as a stabilizer, but he is seeing him as someone who had some issues with the other governors when it has to do with the Southern Governors Declaration. But is it a good choice by Atiku Abubakar?
I think in the circumstance, yes, a very good choice. In the circumstance that Atiku Abubakar faced. And by the way, going back to the Southern Declaration, politics is about competition, demands, and maybe failure to get a demand. Southern Declaration of a certain president is an aspiration. For PDP, it didn't work. The North also demanded for presidency. And so in PDP, where the power should go was a contest. And I think what you expect of a political party, really, there's too much extremism on political parties now. People are pushing agenda. But every agenda in politics is the art of the possible, meaning it can work, it may not work. So for me, PDP subjected it to a process. The NEC had a committee, and the committee came out with a report that says open contest. And because don't forget also that some of us were pushing for Southeast presidency on the basis that if you're going to talk about zoning is nothing. Zoning is affirmative action, like I've argued. Why politics is all about competition. So if you want to narrow it down, it's because you want to solve a problem. It didn't go that way. Atiku emerged through a process, and the Southern people lost. And some of them, by the way, it was clear that a Southern could be or a Northern could be. If, for example, in the APC, somebody else from the North has emerged, the party would have put together. So I think it was a clear case of choosing between. I understand he made a choice for South-South, going by the P2P momentum in the Southeast. It was going to be a case between Okowa and Wike. If you compare the issues around resource issues around maybe political experience, issues around maybe political momentum.
Expediency.
So put together, I think maybe for, you use the word stabilizing, maybe a week of the ticket would have been more problematic for, because elections are about organizations. You know, you have to organize a team well. You have to, this election will be won by those who are able to have a better structure to organize, because it's competitive. You have to put people on the field, grassroots, knock, communicate. So on the whole, Okowa appears to be the best choice in the circumstance of zeroing it to a south-south, to a governor, and somebody who probably has some name recognition, some resources, and maybe a little bit of political capital.
Execute the election. Well, and I come back to you, Kassim. I mean, isn't this enough for an Atiku who's trying to massage the ego of southern Nigeria? I mean, you have been pro-South-South presidency and all of that. But even with this now, is it not a way of trying to say, look, guys, I know what you wanted didn't happen, but here's an approach. Let's have you back on stream so that we can win this. And when we win, then we'll take it off from there.
You see, I'm not one of those persons who want to beggar issues that are so obvious for all to see. You can say that, oh, Atiku Abubakar has gotten. When you plant injustice, you can't get justice. Those who criticize issue of zoning in PDP, who say that there was no zoning, when Atiku Abubakar emerged, they were out shopping for VP from the south, and Okowa has just gotten it. It would have been good for him. No, it would have been good for them to choose a deputy from the north. He would have chosen his vice presidential candidate from the northwest. He is not. He would have chosen from the northwest or north central. You see, I don't like people. Honesty in politics is becoming far-flung. It's not good. We should be able to cultivate some level of sincerity and transparent conduct so that even when we participate, history will document for us that, yes, we took the best of decisions based on rule of law. In the constitution of the PDP, it is captured there eloquently, and that has been the normative order. All of a sudden, because you feel that certain persons or certain individual has to come because you think APC will be sleeping and Atiku will come and re-roll them to win. Then you now stood the constitution on its head, and Atiku emerged and Okowa vice presidential candidate, and you think that is okay for us.
What if the PDP is walking back? Haven't realized that they need to embrace zoning?
You see, the point is this: when you are running in circles, you can't hit the nail on the head. That's the problem. And for some of us who speak truth to power, we like to interrogate processes. And that's why a lot of these people don't like my face. I will tell you the way it is. Whether you like it or not, after 8 years of presidency in the North, in a plural society, not the best of professors can tell me that argument is not valid. You cannot have power again reside in that same place. But the good thing that has happened, I can see from my crystal ball, that an Okowa running as a VP and Atiku as candidate, it cannot work.
Why? And just tell us, because I mean, Okowa is an experienced federal lawmaker, a two-term governor, is a serving governor, and he comes from the South, where
I am happy.
PDP has been winning.
Yes.
Now, talk about all of this, because these are the areas that people are focusing on, that which the candidate himself may have focused on before arriving at Okowa.
Sumner, I hope you know that I'm not going to sit down here and be telling you some of the dynamics that are going to play out. I won't do that, because let me tell you, even his emergence alone is already causing some friction within the party, particularly among the governors. We know the role Okowa played in this whole process. I'm not going to make a case for Wike, because Wike has said ab initio that he wasn't interested in running for VP, that he wanted. But when he lost, certain persons met him and he wanted to, they wanted to make him to emerge. Even the NWC, I was told, they had the meeting and they said this. But I had lost interest the very day that we lost the ticket.
Okay.
And so for a man who went around the country, who was able to score 237 votes out of among the delegates and all that, I think such a person has even national spread, more than one who did not participate, who is cocooned within Delta State and all of that. But politics has its own way. Okay. But I'm happy that for me, Okowa is a weak candidate And it gives me opportunity to celebrate the APC and their candidates.
Some people would dispute that with you. And let's come back to Okowa's credential. What do you think Atiku Abubakar would have considered in the PDP and then in southern Nigeria before arriving at an Okowa?
First, nobody votes for the vice president. Rarely. It's the president who people vote for. So the vice president, both constitutionally and even conventionally, is tied to the president. And so the president is not going to look for who is going to. There are no two captains. There are no two co-presidents here. There's only one president. And so you're going to look for a person you are sure that can stay behind and wait for you. That's what the vice president is. A vice president, by constitutional definition, Section 5 says the executive power is in the president, who may exercise it by himself, his vice, or any other officer. So first credential is it a person that can stand with me, stand beside me, not stand ahead of me? That's number one consideration. This is not about shared power at the presidency. The second issue will now be, in politics, subtraction is more dangerous than addition. If somebody is going to not add, they shouldn't subtract. So you have to ask yourself, is it a divisive character, or is it a person that has a capacity to unify others? Nobody has all the pluses. So a good presidential constitution will first be on stability, perception. Look, this is not delegate election. Delegate election is a simple election.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have enough money and you have enough control of party structure, you win delegate election. But in general election, you're going to pitch to people who don't even care about your party. This election, there are going to be many moderates, uncommitted people, who are looking at who are looking at asking a question about character. How does somebody appear? Nobody's going to know the history of how Okowa has governed well or how Wike has governed well, but it's going to be on perception. If I'm going to pick a VP, I would look at who has a better perception. Because people are going to see you from a distance.
So you think the perception issues made Wike to be pushed out?
Well, I think that ideally, look, the Wike advocacy was very strong. And from a neutral perspective, I'm not part of that decision-making process. I would be very wary of a candidate who's been pushed. Look at how Biden did his own pick. That's how VPs are picked. You look at who can stabilize the party. You look at who people can close rank around. You don't want somebody who can drive people away. Strong characters have strong support and strong dislike. And in the PDP, it goes both ways. So if you look at that people go back and say, not this guy, we can't be with him. Other people will say, if you miss this guy. So end of the president will sit alone and look at first, assume I win. Who can I govern with? Because look, every of these two candidates can win.
Yeah.
So the question is, who can I govern with? Who can be on that campaign stand and not draw away people from me? And not create confusion.
Your submission now, is this an example of a moderate and a conservative on the ticket? And Atiku being a moderate and Okowa being a conservative?
I think
because Atiku is afraid of a moderate kind of ticket. For someone like Wike is seen as being vocal to a moderate person who can say, I mean,
Wike is a strong contender. And by the way, ultimately, the president made a choice. Maybe made a choice on comfort level. It wasn't like, if Wike wasn't that strong, he would have been running up until now. If at some point, it was like maybe Wike is the more preferred choice. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you look at Wike, it comes with a lot of credentials, party loyalty, party support, has been there for long. But again, you're going to put everything together and say, look at the way Okowa was chosen by Shagari. Look at the way Atiku was chosen by Obasanjo. Look at the way Yar'Adua was chosen. The last minute, Odili was already closing the deal till the morning. And then they had to substitute. So for me, it's not a vote of lack of confidence on Wike. It's actually saying maybe in the demographics, maybe in the structure, the context of the party and what we're seeing now is safer. Safe is sometimes more important than objective positive. Safe. Okay. I think it's a safer bet than Wike at this point. How
come we're not seeing so many analysts actually talking about Udom Emmanuel, the other person that we had who was being brought as one of the three that were given to Atiku to actually choose from? In all of this, do you think just these two persons should be receiving all the accolades and analysis while Udom Emmanuel is just being left out?
Somna, let me quickly correct an impression of Dr. Sam Amadi that you don't vote for vice president, you vote for him. There is no ticket that is complete under our laws without having the VP. If you have one leg, then you have not completed
I think what he was trying to say is
no, please wait. There are people demographically who will vote for a candidate for presidency because he has a VP that appeals to them.
Yes.
So the friends of Okowa are not the friends of Atiku. That is true. Sure. So on that basis, it's a collective responsibility. Absolutely. So what I'm saying, in essence, with respect to your question, is that Udom Emmanuel contested, Wike contested. In the opinion of the candidate, perhaps, I've told you, Okowa from day one worked with Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah,
we all knew.
It was an open secret.
So Atiku was only compensating a man who worked for him. So there's nothing,
which is very important.
There's nothing extraordinary about that. But I'm talking from the point of view that, you see, we don't also always want to, people always want to condemn by way of perception persons who speak truth to power. Of all the things that Wike say, nobody will tell you that he's telling lies, but they will tell you the manner of him saying that. We don't want to speak truth in politics. And when somebody stabs you at the back, they say it's politics. That is where I quarrel with. You see, let me tell you, that's why the good men are running away from politics. If you ask Dr. Sam Amadi to come and join politics now, you say, no, I don't want to belong.
Okay, well, he's been there before.
Yes, but he left. You see, that's the truth. Because even somebody who has just finished eating with you now, you will not know that it's even against you. And when you realize, they say, that's politics now. That is not my own kind of politics. Okay. So for God's sake, I, Kassim Afegbua, will pay me 1 billion per day, utter one word in support of that ticket. By tomorrow, Friday, I've written my letter of resignation from PDP.
Again,
I am resigning from PDP.
Listen,
listen. I am not going to join APC. That's the word. I'm not going to join.
Yeah, but you were in support of Wike. Is Wike also defecting? Because we've been hearing all these things going around.
Listen, I was in support of Wike on account that he was a stronger southern aspirant. Stronger. Among all the persons that I consulted. So I felt that getting southern candidate will be better since PDP has decided to jettison the provision of the Constitution. Now, I will be supporting Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu as candidate of APC, but not.
You're going into anti-party.
No, I say I'm resigning.
I'm resigning. You resign. Okay, well,
I'm resigning.
Okay,
resign.
Well, we don't hope you don't get into trouble again with your new party because you're going back to
I'm not going to. I'm not joining
the party.
Joining,
but you're only offering.
I only offer campaign for that.
That means you are an aggrieved PDP member.
Very well.
Who's working against PDP?
Okay, well. Yes. Dr. Sam Amadi, as we try to round off this conversation, do you see this Atiku Okowa ticket as a winning ticket in this, considering all the permutations that we are going on, that are going on now? Although we see who Tinubu is going to pick and who Labour Party Peter Obi will also pick, or maybe Kwankwanso.
I think, look, vice president picks are usually controversial. Take for example Tinubu. He's going to pick a Muslim or a Christian. Either way, like they say, men are going to die. Is he going to pick a woman as Gaba, Mrs. Peter, yes, canvass strongly, a Christian Muslim or a Christian woman or Muslim woman? So either way, it's going to cause problems. So if you look at the Okowa Atiku ticket in the context of the evolving political landscape, I don't think Okowa weakens that part ticket, neither does it strengthen it. And I don't think Wike would have strengthened it either, different what it is. They're going to be battleground states.
So is it a winning ticket?
It's potentially a winning ticket, just like you can argue that the AP is a winning ticket. It's not a question of three things, what I've said before. Strategy. This election will be based on strategy, on who has a more efficient organization. Because in 2019, part of the failure of PDP was also organizational lapses here and there. So if the Okowa Atiku put a good structure, a good strategy, and you see, the election is going to be short, 4 months from October or thereabout. But between October, it's organization and planning and contacts. I think they can win. And I think I would put my hot money on an Atiku ticket and an Obi ticket as a possible shaker. The Labour are shaking up, but I think nothing has happened today to change the permutation, either for or against. This doesn't add much, it doesn't subtract much. Tinubu's own will not add much, whether it's Ganduje or Erufai or nothing has changed fundamentally.
Let me just say
very quickly in 30 seconds.
Tinubu, it will be a winning ticket for Tinubu to choose a northern Muslim. I'm not persuaded by all this argument of saying Christian from the north and all of that. The ticket of VP is for the north. Let the north decide. And the majority of the voters in the north are Muslims. You can't argue that. So you give to the majority. Any political planner who wants to take a ticket from a minority population, so to speak, will just be hitting himself on the foot. So you are going to see Tinubu Muslim ticket, so and they are going to win that election.
You are canvassing based on your geopolitics that you have always been advancing. So not based on religion.
If Wike won, it would be different, perhaps.
Of course, the Southerner.
No, if you want to say VP, you would have said
no. I would have left.
Okay.
If Wike had,
your decision is
I don't want second feeding. Yes. I don't want, if Wike had won out,
mine is
he lost,
Southeast or open contest.
Okay, gentlemen, we must thank you
well,
so
the Southeast
much.
didn't contest last time.
We must thank you so much, Kassim Afegbua, who will be leaving us now, but you will still be with us because of the Ekiti election. Okay. And then we thank you so much, Kassim Afegbua, for being with us. And we ask you to go safely as you try to, so that you're not accused so much of anti-party and expelled.
No, what is the meaning of anti-party?
What
does the party mean for me? I have been issue.
Okay, well, we must thank you so much.